Welcome to the Game Deflators Podcast, episode 41. My name is John, and I'm joined by my faithful companion, Ryan.
Hey, everybody. How's it going out there? Here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and live for the first time this last Saturday at Phoenix, the Inflation Deflation Challenge.
It wasn't live at Phoenix.
No, but we were, and we are the Inflation Deflation Challenge.
I'm inflation, you can be deflation.
You know, I could use with some of that.
That's what your wife tells me as well. Okay, so, all right, dude. Well, yeah, we were live this week. We were at Game On Expo.
Game On Expo.
Pretty sweet. Got to see some old friends. And on top of that, we got to meet some awesome new people. And we'll get into it a little bit later in the news. Ryan, what'd you pick up?
So this week, I picked up a fun little mobile game. I haven't played around with it too much, but I'm looking to try it out a little bit more. Dice Tactics by our own local Game Wave Studios. They were out there at Game On Expo showing off their game, and we checked it out. We talked to the developer for a little bit. It was a fun time. He was a very nice guy, and you know, it's good to see that Phoenix has some people out there making some stuff.
Yeah, dude, we actually saw quite a bit of them out there. And if you're curious on where to find this, just type in Dice Tactics.
Dice Tactics on
Android
the
store or
Android store,
or
Apple store. Yeah. It's a fun little like card RPG. It's got some great like
dice rolling and everything.
Art. Yeah, it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I was actually planning on playing the other day when I was heading out to for work out of town, and yeah, it was nice to be able to kill some time. It's great because it doesn't have any ties to the internet, so I was actually able to play it on a plane. Like, I don't know how many times, well, I don't know how much you travel, but sometimes when I download a game on my phone, it has to be connected to the internet in some capacity, right?
Yeah, I've played some of those games.
Because of the microtransaction or everything else. This is actually really cool because I was able to play it on the plane, had no worries about what was going on, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I took a nice little break for a moment there. I was like, let me play some Dice Tactics, you know, in between some time on a plane. And it was great. So, yeah, check them out, Dice Tactics. And as far as other pickups, dude, what else did you have?
Well, I took a cue from you last week, and I picked up the free PS Plus games for this month. So there was Wipeout Omega Collection, which has a few of the Wipeout games in there. I'm not really fan or have ever really played them before, but it's good to know that I have them if I want them. And then also Sniper Elite 4, which I have also never played any of.
So coincidentally, Ryan, I also picked up Dice Tactics by our friends at Game Wave Studios.
No kidding.
No kidding. And I also picked up the PlayStation Plus games for August.
See, everybody out there, follow our advice. These are 3 free games that you could pick up right now. Put those in your pocket.
Yeah. For
Add
sure,
to
dude.
your collection. Bump it up for the nice price of whatever you're paying for whatever subscription model for PS Plus you have.
Yeah, typically for Ryan, it's $1 for all of his pickups. I'm usually zero to
you're paying whatever variable rate, whether you buy 3 months or month by month or a year long. It's only going to cost you your PS Plus.
That's true.
And Dice Tactics is totally free if you have a smartphone that can wield it.
So far, from what we know, maybe there's microtransactions. Don't do it. Well, dude, what are you playing overall this week?
Still playing Zone of the Enders. Not very much. It's been
1 week since you looked at me.
Yeah, it has. And looked at you in the eyes and told you, John, I've barely played any video games this last week. It's becoming a real problem when I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I haven't really played anything, and I have a podcast to record tonight.
So maybe I should play like an hour, maybe the day before.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm kind of starting to do. So I'm gonna figure out. You know, it's been a rough year, but we were looking it up, and we're about 1 year. We were just starting to do our test runs of the show about this time last year, so it feels good to kind of come full circle, and I really need to start investing more in the game spot now that we've really got the podcast part on lockdown.
Hashtag could be a sponsor, not a sponsor. GameSpot. We haven't used that in so long. Yeah, dude. Actually, for anybody out there, if you haven't heard the lost episodes of the Game Deflators, those are our test runs. So they're probably going to seem very off. You're going to be like, what the hell news are they talking about? This is totally like early 2018 or mid 2018. There's a reason why. So check out those lost episodes. Hear how poor we were and how great we got after we got a soundboard.
Well, it's one of those things. When we first started doing the podcast, John had done a little bit of it, obviously. So we needed to really kind of figure out how to get me involved. So it's always good to do some dry runs and see how you can start coming together and develop the idea before you really throw it out there. So now that we've refined things now, and we're still trimming down, and we're still trying to make, more changes going into the new year, bigger, better, and going out to Game On Expo was one of those things that we've really been needing to do, was actually go out as the Game Deflators and see what the people have to say.
It was our grand reveal. So yeah, let's talk about some Game On Expo, dude. I obviously have been to far too many conventions in my lifetime at this point, and I thought it was really cool. We didn't get to do any panels or anything along those lines, but they brought us out, allowed us to come in as media, check things out. We ended up seeing Eric Weil while we were there. So a good friend of mine used to work with Sony Online Entertainment and worked on the EverQuest games as a designer. So that was pretty cool, getting to hang out with him for a while. And he introduced us to some cool people. We got to meet Paul Niemeyer, who worked on the Mortal Kombat games as an artist. Showed us around some of the indie developers. And yeah, I thought it was really cool, dude. The overall landscape of that vendor's room was set up pretty nicely. You had all your voice actors and such on one side, and then your artist alley. It wasn't really separated by any means. I've seen a lot of cons, including one I used to run, where the artist alley was very much separate from the vendors. So you kind of knew who was artists and who was a regular vendor, and I guess in this case, who's a developer. And it was just split up really nicely. The only qualm I would have actually was, and this isn't on Game On, this is actually more on the vendors themselves having very, I don't know, their location and how they stacked up their games and how they set up their booth. Some of them were just weird. Like there was one guy that I think he had like a 10 by 20 space, and he pretty much laid out like this long row of tables across and a long row of tables behind that. And to get in, you had to like funnel your way through like 20 people to even get to the games. It was just such a cluster. I was out of it. I didn't even want to dig through games at that point. So there was a lot of vendors that were like that. And I really wish they would have had some of those vendors a different layout. And maybe that's something that Game On can do in terms of widening that space. They had a whole stage, which really wasn't used while we were there. It was probably more of a nighttime activity thing. We just didn't see that.
We went early on Saturday morning, right when they opened.
10 to about
we got
1,
there
2
before,
o'clock.
Yeah, we got there before the rush and stayed through about lunch. And it did start filling up more after that. We were just kind of pressed for time this weekend, and we weren't exactly sure that we were into Game On Expo until kind of last minute. We scrambled together and went. So it's definitely something that next year we're going to be much more prepared for. And we're already starting to look into future conventions in the area that we might be able to go to. And there was some spaces there that maybe weren't the best layout, but
yeah,
a lot of the things that were there were really good. I mean, the artists in the artist alley, I got a bunch of people's cards. I looked at a bunch of people's stuff, started following a bunch more people on Instagram. I'm an art major myself, so I really appreciated seeing some of the inspiration. Yeah,
art graduate.
Yeah,
there you go.
Seeing most of the people out there, it was really inspiring. I like going out and seeing people who are doing their art, and then the collections of people there that were selling. It wasn't exactly what I thought. I thought there would be way more games than there actually were. I was surprised at how many extra game things there were, like figurines and stuff. There was a lot of those, but not. I expected to just see mountains and mountains of games. Yeah,
and the one thing I noticed, and again, this isn't on Game On Expo by all means, some of the vendors just didn't have as many games as I would have liked to have seen. Now, I can tell you, though, hearing from previous, friends that have gone to different gaming conventions, a lot of that stuff ends up disappearing on Friday. People hit it up and they find all the best games they can, and what really remains is a lot of the common titles or heavy hitters that people just really aren't willing to shell out $300-400 for. By the way, there was a guy I saw a picture on, I think it was Instagram. He picked up the Maximum Carnage Collector's Edition for $350.
Damn, that's a big purchase.
Yeah, that was
maybe he's a listener.
Maybe he's a listener. I don't know. Maximum Carnage guy, maybe you're a listener.
I think that was still inflated, but we did see that collector's edition when we did that, and it was pricey.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, overall the event, I thought it was fantastic. I honestly would like to see a few more developers there, but I do understand that they might not have a whole ton of them in the area. I mean, you're pulling from Phoenix. It's still a growing event, and maybe they haven't pulled out everybody that they can into this show. So I think the future is bright for this event, and I definitely want to go again and check it out next year, and definitely hit up some panels and maybe do the full, maybe 2 days or all 3 days.
Yeah, we'll try to get out there more for Game On next year, and some of the people that we met out there were really nice. And they talked to us, and we might even be able to get some of them on the podcast in the future to share with us, their experiences at Game On Expo and other expos in the area that we may be able to go to in the future, as well as, how they think of the Phoenix gaming scene.
Yeah, and dude, so one of the studios I really liked, I don't remember if they were local or not. They might have been Tucson, if I'm correct. But Studio Noir, they were running Legend of Orion, that dungeon builder.
Yeah.
Dude, I know it's not like anything game breaking, like it's not the...
It was impressive for the state that they're at in it.
Yeah, they're in like alpha stage, I think, and they have a Kickstarter going on right now, but it was super cool being able to just carve out your dungeon, put your monsters wherever you wanted, your lights, your treasure chests, all of that. And then the overall idea is that you build out your dungeons and you share them online, and other people
Mario Maker style.
Mario Maker D&D basically, to an extent, or dungeon crawler. So that was super cool. So shout out to them. And then we played, it was a roguelite, right? It was Wicked Cake Games, I believe, and they had Shadow Crawl.
Oh, Shadow Crawl. Yeah, I didn't try that one. You tried that one.
I tried that one. It was pretty cool. It's usually not something that I would typically play, but dude, it was just the colors were there, and the overall gameplay seemed pretty fluid for the stage it was in. And the guy that was there was actually based out of, he said he built the whole thing in like his garage. Like he developed it all in his garage, and any type of creative process that he thinks of, he like tosses in the game in an area where it fits. Another cool thing about that, he had a card game that was tied to it that we didn't see. Yeah, I learned about it after the fact. I wish I would have noticed that when we were there.
Yeah, that was really interesting. It had so much depth to it. He was so excited to share it with us, and it just seemed like it was layered with all kinds of ideas, and it would really take some time to sit in and get comfortable with the game. But it was very interesting game for a one-man project too. Is very impressive.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. And one of the things I really liked about the developers that we were talking with was, you could kind of get the feel that this was like their baby while you were just playing this, and they were also excited to share what they had been creating. And that was just one of the cooler things about it. And the fact that so many of them were from the Valley, it was just awesome to like experience that and understand like there's homegrown games like right in our backyard.
Yeah, the vibe was real good. The vibe was real good there. Everybody was real cool, more than happy to share. They kept encouraging us to, oh, go ahead and try again. It was fun to be amongst the people who are doing it, because I've never, I play games, obviously not as much as I should, but I play games, but I've never really spent time with anybody who makes games. And I think that getting to know more people that make games will just deepen that appreciation that I have. And going to places like this is really the only way that, we're going to get a foot in the door. And I would like to really thank Game On Expo for having us and giving us that media access so that we could get in and have this experience and talk so highly of them.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I know they're just going to get bigger, and, the events are just going to be so much better down the road. And I really wish we could have seen some panels to get the full-blown experience. We were pressed for time, obviously, and it was kind of a last-minute thing. But I do want to shout out to a couple more of them. Seven Sentinels Gaming that was out there. Seven Sentinels, I think, is the title, right, of that particular game? Or is that the studio?
Which game?
Seven Sentinels. The one where we went into the little booth and we were hanging out.
And
it had the spaceship.
With the colors and the spaceship. Yeah. Yeah, that was real interesting. It was maybe not the best For me, I didn't do very good at it, but it was a really good looking game. I know that they're pretty early in the development, it sounded like, but the idea of it and the look of it are real interesting. So I would like to follow up. We're going to keep all these, and we're going to try to keep ourselves abridged on how all these are going, and maybe touch base with these people again next year if we happen to see them there.
Yeah, so Seven Sentinels Gaming, and a game that we're talking about is Chroma Shift. Dude, it actually looked really cool, the overall design of it and the flow. I mean, it was very well polished in terms of design. Obviously, it's in testing mode still, so there was one point where it was after, I think they said the boss was like 1 health point or something like that, set specifically for the convention. And there's at one point I was trying to get a pickup and I missed it, and we just looked at him. He's like, "Oh, that's a bug. Like that's just something needs to be fixed." But it's just super cool to be in like that test mode and be able to experience that. One last person that I think we need to mention: Rewind by Design.
Rewind by Design. If you were going to mention him, I was going to be. This guy, you need to get out there. If you're listening to us, follow this guy on Instagram. Tell him the Game Deflators sent you. He was the coolest guy. We talked to him for a long time. He makes custom arcade cabinets just for himself, just for fun. He doesn't even play the games at all or very much, he said, but he takes these custom cabinets. He builds all of it himself. He does all the painting himself, and he puts old games that aren't actually arcade games into arcade cabinets. He was showcasing Legend of Zelda. He had one of our favorites, Ghostbusters 2.
Oh my god. Dude, that was the coolest cabinet.
Yeah,
it was
and
awesome.
DuckTales.
Yeah,
and they were amazing looking. The level of detail. I mean, he said he spent, 300 hours on this one and 500 hours on that one and 300 hours on this one. They were just absolutely stupendous, and it was such a joy to talk to him, and he was just so happy to be out there sharing these creations that he makes with everybody else. It was a really cool thing to see.
He actually made a cabinet specifically for one of the indie developers out there and for their game. And
oh yeah, we walked by that booth.
Yeah,
that was a good looking one. We didn't have a chance to stop and talk to them very much.
No, we didn't have
really.
a chance to, but he did make it custom for them. They purchased it obviously because of the time and being able to have that. But that was super cool, man. The fact that he created this. He said he had an automotive background?
Yeah,
like
he has a background
design?
in automotive and stuff. So, it's all really high quality gloss paint and finish on these cabinets.
He uses chrome in a lot of what he's doing as well, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that Ghostbusters one with the all the lights and sirens and stuff on top of the cabinet, that was very impressive. He made all that himself.
Yeah, his name was Sam, by the way. That was his name. So yeah, check it out on Instagram, Rewind by Design. Really like talking to him and just kind of picking his brain and seeing his creations just in front of us. That was really cool. So yeah, I don't really have much else on Game On Expo, dude. What's funny is we didn't pick up any video games while we were there.
Well, me and picking up video games, if they're not $1 or less or free, I don't do it.
That's true. Well, you did stop by Yowie Scum to pick up some stuff for your wife.
Yeah, I got some
however you want to pronounce that.
Some little tiny baby body pillows that are about like the size of a pen for her for a couple of her favorite characters. Oh, Prompto and Noctis. You know Prompto and Noctis.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, she said I don't know if I shipped these yet, but I will. And then I picked up, it was a Zelda potion. You have the card by them, by the way. We can just call them out. It's the one that has a little brown on it. It's a brown card. While you look for it, I will just keep talking nonsense. These people. Yeah, so Tabletop Alchemy. They were pretty cool. So Jessica Combs and Austin Gray. So check them out as well on Instagram at Tabletop Academy. They were actually really cool. So great prices for what they were selling. And it was like a high quality potion bottle where they had custom labels on the front and they filled it up with a gel of some sort, and it was just really cool. So we have it in our Harry Potter themed bathroom that my wife is all nuts about. So yeah, pretty cool stuff at the show itself. Do you want to go into our next topic, sir?
Yeah, so Game On Expo, we really enjoyed you, but moving on into the future, into the now, what's happening, it's day 2 of DOTA TI 9 2019, the international people. If if you haven't heard me talk about it before, I talk about it every so often. My love of watching Dota 2 as an esport. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, this whole section is for you. I have no idea. I don't keep up with any Dota.
See, I never did either, and I'm going to let anybody out there listening know, I never watched any Dota. I played like 2 rounds of Dota. I played a bunch of League, but I never got into Dota, and then about 5 years ago, I watched the International just on a fluke on Twitch. I fell in love with it. I've been watching the International every year since, and I've been watching more and more Dota majors and minors every year since. I got the Strafe app. I did all my predictions leading up through tomorrow so that I can take some time, see how the bracket develops, and then make my next bets off of there.
So is the International pretty much like your version of not watching football all year and then partying during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but I actually did watch this whole season.
Oh, okay. So you actually did watch. All
Yeah,
right.
I watched most of this season. I watched all the majors. I watched some of the minors. It was a lot easier to keep track this year with the changes they made to the schedule and how the point system was going to work for the DPC this year. I'm interested to see how they change it up for next year, because it always kind of throws a little twinge in there to see how people are going to qualify and who's going to qualify. But just a little recap of day one. So day one was pretty good. I was watching the multi-stream. It's in China for the first time. Every other year up till now, it's been in Seattle. That's where Valve's headquarters. It's a Valve event.
Interesting that it's in China, given that just, maybe 2-3 episodes ago, we talked about how they would be implementing the whole point system for their society, and you would not get punished, but you would get penalized for playing too many games. So it's interesting that it's in China.
Well, in Dota, especially the pros there, this is something that will be interesting to, not interesting really, it'll be kind of brutal, but to see how this affects their lives. As people whose livelihood is playing Dota, they play Dota like people have jobs and go to the gym and do all the normal stuff. They spend all that time playing Dota, and they fit the rest of their lives around that. So it'll be, we'll see what goes on with that, because it's going to be amazing to see. So every year, the way that it starts off is right now, all of the teams that have qualified for Dota TI through playing the DPC season and getting their points, and then the people who got in through the qualifiers. So right now they're doing a round robin best of 2 system where everybody plays against everybody in their bracket to see where you're going to go in the upper bracket or the lower bracket. So we've got about 4 days of those type of matchups going on. So for day one, Secret has been the top team this year. They led the DPC. They've been crushing majors. They're nigh unstoppable. Nobody's keeping Secret from what they want. So keep an eye out for them. They're a good bet if you're trying to pick wins and stuff for if you're on strafe. Another thing, OG came in last year after a huge change to their roster. They managed to go all the way and Cinderella story win TI last year. It was an amazing thing to watch. If the story that you can see in a Dota tournament as the meta evolves and as these teams compete for, the title, nobody's ever won Dota twice or TI twice yet. No team, no player. So each year it kind of builds okay, all the top teams, who's going to be the first to take it twice? Who's going to be the first player? Who's going to be the first team?
How many years have they been doing this again?
This is the 9th. So OG's looking pretty good as of day one. They got 1 win and 1 tie, so that's not a great record. And then EG is the big US team, Evil Geniuses. They're always a good team. They're always good to watch, but they didn't really show up very well on day one. They finished 0-1-1. That's 1 draw and 1 loss. So, if you're out there and you haven't played Dota or you haven't watched Dota, hop in, cheer on the boys with EG. They're doing great. They're always working hard to bring the points for the US, but the US is not the leading Dota team right now. But it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. It goes all the way until the 25th. You better believe I'm going to be watching the championships.
Gotta believe.
Unless it's like at 3 in the morning, which I didn't realize, but it might be. But it's the biggest esports competition. I mean, first place takes $15 million. I mean, 18th place still takes like $85,000. It's a giant prize pool. Get out there, support esports, people. It's great.
Is that prize pool like 85,000 and 15 million? Is that split amongst like the whole team? And how many...
I'm assuming it's split between the whole team and the organization.
Gotcha.
Because the one thing you'll notice, like, I only watch Dota, but I have seen some other esports stuff. So the teams, like Evil Geniuses, might have a team doing other esports out there, and I'm assuming that everybody kind of gets a chunk and you get a bonus off of your own winnings or something. I don't know how it works. That's just what my guess would be.
Ryan, I was trying to find your article just now on Amazon, but I'm just going to go ahead and load it up on here.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I wanted to see a lot of the games that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so what John's talking about, get out there, watch esports. But moving on from that, there was something I spotted on N4G today. There is a huge list of games for modern consoles, like Xbox, PS4, Switch, Japanese published games on sale up to 60% off. It's just a huge list of games. So if there's anything out there that you've been looking for that's Japanese published, check out this list. We'll go ahead and link it, or, just search for something you're looking for and cross your fingers on Amazon. But there's a good chance that it's going to be on sale. So,
well, it's a daily video game, and Amazon slashes up to 62% off on Japanese published games. So if you look that up, you'll find it.
Yep.
But yeah, just some of the games on here. Really, oh my god, this is killing me. Kingdom Hearts 3, 50% off. I'm curious what the price point is on that, though. Okay, so this is $30. So really, they're pricing it at $60. It's usually $30 anywhere. So some of these you're going to notice are not going to be a fantastic deal, hence the Kingdom Hearts 3. It's everywhere for $30 right now. But, I mean, there's some interesting games on here, like Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter is one I've had my eye on for a long time just because it looks weird. You've got World of Final Fantasy Maxima on this list. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. That's actually a pretty interesting one. Steins Gate. Kotodama's on here. Final Fantasy 12, Zodiac Age, 30% off on Xbox One.
Jump Force just came out last year.
I think so, yeah. But
that wasn't even out that long.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it was the game. Like, it got a lot of hype, but I don't think it really did much after that. God Eater 3 is on there, which is pretty interesting, 34% off on PS4. And an Octopath Traveler, 23% off. That one I want to say is about, yeah, that's actually pretty good. It's usually about $50. So there's some definitely good titles on this list. So if you're looking for anything new and are itching to play a new game, check out this list. What is Blade Strangers?
I don't know. I've never seen that. A lot of these.
Oh, I've seen this.
I mean, they're all Japanese games, so that you bet there's a bunch of JRPGs out there, and some fighting games, and anything that's got your anime style characters going on. That looks like it's a fighting game of some kind.
Was actually funny enough. I had my eye on it the other day.
Okay,
and
cool.
I look at it.
Lots of stuff to excite John. Maybe he'll have some big pickups next week.
Maybe we'll see. Ooh, Yakuza Kiwami 2.
See, there we go. That's exactly what I'm saying.
$30. Actually, that's not bad.
Is that that's the Steelbook too?
Yeah, actually, wait. Do I have that?
I don't know. You go ahead and look at that while we bring up our next thing we're going to talk about. PS5 rumor. So PS5 is rumored to be coming out in or talked about, released as a presentation or at some kind of press event.
I'll take this one, Ryan. February 12th, 2020, they're going to be talking about, supposedly, it's been leaked, they're going to reveal the release date for the PlayStation 5. So, rumors, we could say all the rumors we want. We never know if it's true, but given the history of a lot of the major players, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony, it's going to release in fall of 2020. Like, it's just going to. I mean, they've released it, I think, in November for the last 3 consoles. Why would it be any different this year? It's just before holiday season. Get the excitement up. Sell a bunch of consoles. Get them off the shelf. They're going to make money easily on that during the holiday season. So I'm going to say, on a whim, I don't know, November 15th.
November 15th. You heard it here first, folks.
I'm just guessing. November 15th.
November 15th. Put it in your books.
Or it's going to be some stupid, like, anniversary type date. We'll have to look that up.
Something fall 2020. You know it. We know it. Everybody knows it.
Sony knows it. They just don't want to tell us. Well, that being said, so interestingly enough, Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima I want to play so badly, man. It looks sweet. Not a lot has come out on that in the last year, really. It got a big pop in E3 of 2018, and it's been radio silent ever since. Last of Us 2, we've seen some gameplay, we've seen some trailers. Looks awesome, obviously. Both of these games, they're thinking, based on rumors and based on the timing of the PlayStation 5, they will likely be pushed into 2020 as releases for the new console. Really to obviously spike sales, but they're going to drum up interest right away.
Yeah.
Like, these are games that I've wanted to play for a while. I don't know if I'd be willing to grab a PS5 all of a sudden just to play these two games, because that's a pretty big investment just right off the bat, especially trying to pick up both of these games at the same time. But it wouldn't surprise me if they released them on, say, PS4, and then as a late release, and then put like a remastered on PS5, or did a dual release kind of back like in the PS1, PS2 days, and I guess some PlayStation 3, where you had Madden, for example. You might have, Madden, I think it was like 2001 to 2003, if I'm correct. They were released on, the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2 at the same time, simultaneously.
See, my go-to for that is always Twilight Princess, because I got it and my friend got it, but the GameCube and Wii versions are mirrored. So I had my Wii version guidebook, and I was trying to help her out in her GameCube version, and it's like every left was a right, every right was a left. So it's like I was reading the book and trying to tell her where to go, and it just wasn't working.
I think you just don't know directions.
Well, the maps are mirrored in the game.
So an exact mirror?
Yeah, they literally just mirror the game for the GameCube and the Wii versions.
So
because
weird.
Link is traditionally left-handed, but he's right-handed in the Wii version because the majority of people are right-handed and you want to swing that sword.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So they just flipped the whole game to make it easy. They didn't have to change which hand your sword was in. They just flipped everything.
Isn't that one of the worst Wii games or worst Zelda ports?
I don't know. I had fun with it.
I've always heard, I think it's that one. It's not Skyward Sword. I've heard good things about Skyward Sword.
I've never played that one.
Yeah, I've seen
Nobody
people play
likes
it.
Skyward Sword, though. Everybody shits on that.
Really?
Yeah.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, Skyward Sword. Do you know anything? Do you know internet? Have you never heard of Ego Raptor and his ranting against Skyward Sword?
No.
Oh, my God.
No, I haven't. I mean, I have it. it's not one I've played.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Zelda guy either, so I'm not going to blame you.
Yeah, personally, I'm not. I've played Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds and what's the other one? Wind Waker. I've played those.
I'm excited for the new one.
Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty sweet.
With the
Breath of the Wild 2, I guess.
No. The Link's Awakening.
Oh,
the
new
new
remake
one.
of the GBA.
Yeah, that one.
Well, Game Boy Color, I
Game
guess.
Boy Color, yeah. That looks really cool. I'm a sucker for that toy style looking.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sweet looking. Okay, we're getting off track.
Yeah, we're getting off track. So, anyways, that's all we got in the news. This week, let me conduct your attention over to the inflation deflation. And as we start to crescendo in the episode, let's just take it down a little bit and watch our tempo and just feel our way through the pressure of this situation as we start to talk about Mad Maestro for the PS2.
The fact that you just came up with all of that in your head right now, or are you not paying attention and just writing this down to...
I'm a Mad Maestro, dude. I know all my conductorial verbs and adjectives.
I'm pretty sure some of those aren't actually words, but... So yeah, Ryan's right. We played some Mad Maestro on the PlayStation 2 and learned, so anybody out there that's got a PlayStation Slim or PlayStation 2 Slim, do not play blueback CD games on your PlayStation 2.
Oh
my God, dude. That was just buzzing and rattling the entire time.
Yeah, so there's something about you read the thing. What did it say?
Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently the PlayStation 2, especially the Slim, it's louder. I guess because it's not as thick and it doesn't get shielded as much from the volume doesn't get shielded as much as a fat PS2. But evidently, CD-based games spin at twice the speed of DVD-based games. So, to our point, while we were playing Mad Maestro, they had cutscenes which went super slow. Like, I guess the disc wasn't spinning
you
very much.
couldn't even hear the disc running.
Completely
and then it would
silent.
cut back to gameplay and it'd be like...
It's the weirdest thing, man. I had never known that. I'd played games in the past and always just been like, whatever. Like, it just wasn't something I paid attention to. But that game was loud.
It was super loud.
So, note to self, we play...
During a rhythm game.
Yeah, during a rhythm game. Yeah, that was very helpful. So, needless to say, we need to hook up the fat PS2 so we don't have that issue anymore.
Yeah.
And,
or just not play any more blueback games.
but there's so many good ones.
Right?
Kind
Like
of.
the original Zone of the Enders.
In the original Eco. And Okage Shadow King, which I need to play.
Oh, I've always wanted to play that. I rented it once and I didn't understand, like, why are they talking in Pig Latin? It was weird.
Well, back to the inflation deflation. So, Mad Maestro. Very loud game on my PlayStation 2. Would
So
you
we've
like
got-
to start it?
Yeah, so Mad Maestro, it was developed by Desert Productions, published by Sony and Eidos Entertainment in the NAEU, directed by Hiroyuki Kotani, released in March 2002 in North America, and it got a reception of lukewarm to warm. It got between like a 6 and a 9, depending on who you asked at the time. Somebody who's better than we are. But the thing is, I thought this was a pretty interesting game. One of the things, I read the synopsis before we played, and I like the premise of the game as you're a music conductor, and the spirit of this hall where music has been performed since the town was built is going to be destroyed. It doesn't do a good job of telling you that, except for this annoying fairy that shows up. But you're trying to go around and help people out with the power of music and get them on your side to save this place. I mean, it's all very Disney Sunday morning presentation. I mean, even like the graphics themselves look like they're from like the era of Roly Poly Oly on your TV. But I like the premise of a game about a different type of protagonist trying to do a different type of thing. Like, you're trying to save this grand music hall with the power of your music, which is a fun idea that hasn't been done.
So, the one thing I did notice while we were playing is, you told me the premise, they're trying to save this hall, and the fairy, because it's going to be destroyed, and the fairy says, let's go out to the town for all the people. They all love music. I'm like, evidently they don't, because they're destroying the concert hall.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. But dude, to your point, I don't recall outside of Power Rapper Rapper, I don't know of many rhythm games that had that type of feel to it. I mean, yeah, you had like the dancing games and such where you press the different buttons, but this was different because you really could just press one button if you wanted to, or press a button in directional, and it was more like sensitivity based. So red was mashing
just describe
it,
them
green,
the whole layout.
Okay, so you pretty much have a square, and it might be different on normal mode. I know we
You
just
want
played
me to
on easy.
describe it?
No.
Because
I'll
I
go
actually
into-
read the tutorial.
I read the tutorial too on my phone while I wasn't watching it. So yeah, you've got a diamond of 4 dots, and you have a little ball that goes across on each one. So it's kind of like you're conducting, and you're supposed to keep up with the tempo of the music that's being played. And the idea is to, if you have a red circle, you have to mash the button. A green one, like a kind of mash it, not too much. And then blue is like a light touch. Sometimes you had directional buttons at the same time where you had to hit, in my case, I was just using the X button. If it was a blue circle and a directional,
Okay,
a light touch.
I'm going to
and
stop
that.
you there, and I'm going to explain this in a better way.
No.
Yeah.
I'm almost done, right?
No. You're doing a terrible job. So the premise of the game is conducting the music. So the music goes on, and you just try to do your best to set the tempo. You have 4 circles arranged in a diamond with a ball bouncing between them. you have to keep the tempo by hitting the beat as the ball passes over one of the circles on the corners of the diamonds. Now, each time that you press the button, it is contextual to how hard you press the button, or I'm guessing it's probably more within which speed you press the button as the ball approaches.
You're killing me.
So you have to either push the button very hard, push it regularly, or push it softly, but
Based on what colors, Ryan?
Okay, yes, blue, green, and red. Yes.
What does the red mean?
Yes, John, you explained that part of it well, but the rest of it was kind of an amalgamation.
I was going to get there, sir.
And you have to keep the tempo while pushing forward a meter on the left. Now, the meter on the left builds as you do better and depletes as you do worse. But if you have the meter all the way full, you go into angel mode. And in angel mode, everything's going wonderful.
Bravo mode, sir.
No, they literally say angel mode.
Well, it says Bravo.
But they say that if you start doing bad while in the angel mode, then it'll flip to devil mode, which is the like anti-win condition. If you're performing badly the whole time, everything goes to shit and it's in devil mode. So you have to be good all the way up to the end. We both ran into this several times where you can be doing tremendously the whole time, and then at the very last minute, you start to fuck up and you switch into devil mode and you lose right at the end.
So it was, what, the 4th level that occurred?
Yeah.
So I'll have all the listeners know that I actually beat the first 3 levels because Ryan could not keep up his tempo. Level 4, I was absolutely destroying it. We were like, wow, we just knocked this out in 1 round. And next thing you know, it's got red, green, and then directional buttons mixed in. And I was doing all right, but on the last set of a diamond, it just had like a light blue, a red, and then like another green. And it just completely went haywire and screwed up. So we're just watching, and Ryan's like, yeah, you're going to beat it. And then 1 mess up, 2 mess up, boo, you fail. And it was just terrible at that point.
For whatever reason, we both had a really hard time with the right side. Hitting the right side, we would hit the top, left, and bottom perfect every time. That right side was really the only part that ever gave us any trouble, which is really weird because you're keeping the same timing, assumedly, through the whole thing, but something about that right side, we just never consistently got it to hit well.
Well, later on I did actually. So what was funny is initially I was getting the top of a diamond with no issues, and it was Bravo every time. Then it got to a point where I was getting Bravo every time on the right side, but I was getting like just a normal on the top.
See, and the other thing was that when you're in the angel mode doing well, which you have to be in the angel mode to win. If you're not in the angel mode, you lose.
Oh, and your meter has to be all the way at the top too.
Yeah, it has to be all the way at the top. But every time you hit a note, the angel thing pops up above the top diamond, right where it says if you did good or bad. So it's like half the time that angel's up there, and the good and the bad are so close together because you can't see it because it's obscured by the angel. It's hard to tell whether you're actually hitting that last one good or bad.
Yeah, it was the game itself. I like the premise of it. I like the tempo component. I'm not a big fan of music, obviously.
That's the one thing that I think is the biggest downfall to the game is the music.
Well, it's a Mad Maestro.
Well,
it's a conductor.
It's a Mad Maestro.
He's not going to conduct death metal. I mean, it's going to be symphonies.
I'm not saying it has to be that, but I'm just saying that that's probably the hardest sell on this game. Like, the big sell on music and rhythm games is that the music's fun and you enjoy playing them. And this game is just so much not the music you're really going to want to be like, man, I really want to sit there and pound out that song again.
Well, and the other part of it too is that it would have been different if on a diamond it was a representation of square, X, circle, and triangle, which maybe is a case if you play in like normal mode and it was just because we were on easy mode for the sake of playing it. And all I had to do was hit the X button the whole time. And once it got to where, okay, I just need to hit the X button and not circle, triangle, and square, it was way too easy at that point. And I found myself just like blazing through levels until obviously that one that just completely destroys you at the last second.
Yeah. So Mad Maestro for PS2, we're looking at complete in box $5, and right now it's at its peak. This is the highest price on average that the game's been since it launched. So if you're looking to pick it up, you might as well wait for it to drop down. And actually, John got it for about $5 when he bought it. So he paid too much for this game. John actually overpaid for a game.
I didn't overpay for that game. That's actually an eBay price. I probably paid more like 3 or 4 for it.
Okay. Well, the sticker says $4.99.
Yeah, because it came from somebody's shop.
But and that's actually trending up. So
is it seriously?
By trending up, I mean that
by pennies.
Yeah, pennies. And then loose $3.54. It peaked at about $4.20 in October 2015. That's going up slightly. Look, this game is moved around often. You can go online. You can buy this game from just about anyone. Nobody's looking to make a bunch of money off of it. If it's something that you need for your collection, you're a diehard music fan, or if you're actually a fan of the music in here, I would definitely say this game is worth picking up. I think that for $5, if you're into what this is offering, it's an absolute steal.
So for me, it was actually... when I initially picked this up, I also picked it up with Mr. Mosquito. I'm actually a fan of like really weird Japanese games, and this is just one of them. Like, who the hell makes a game about a mad maestro? And he's not even mad. He's a good maestro.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. So yeah.
He does kind of walk in and be like, all right, let's make this about me real quick. And that last episode, or that last level that we played, there was all kinds of like chicks walking around in lingerie. I mean, it's definitely a weird Japanese game. There is definitely a lot of Japanese isms going on in the game,
especially the wife of the first individual. Yeah, that was definitely like Dead or Alive extreme volleyball.
Yeah,
PS2 polygon style in a dress. Like it was quite interesting. I even was just like, whoa, that's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another one too. You got this couple fighting. He's like, hold on, people. I'm just going to get some music going here so you can dance. And dude, it was crazy. Like when you were doing poorly, like, I don't know if you noticed this at one point, but in the first level when the couple's dancing, if you're doing poorly, everything just kind of starts to disappear, right, and fall apart. But if midway through you start doing okay, it reverses everything. And it's like the car that broke down and the wheels popped out, like the wheels shot back into the car, and it has that up.
Same kind of Parappa the Rappa thing where it's like
turn to the left,
everything starts to go to heck, and then everything starts to get itself back together depending on how you did. And I mean, this would have been post Parappa. So, I think it was post Parappa.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Parappa came in on PlayStation 1.
Yeah. So it was. It definitely took a lot of those same kind of cues.
Well, so here's a question for you. By the way, as far as where I'm concerned, $5. Yeah, I think it's about right for the game. I would say it's. Honestly,
you know, if you want this game and if you want it, you could spend $5 worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree on that statement. So yeah, $5, great price point. I don't see why you would want to pay any more than $5 right now. Maybe if it starts to go up, you know, and you like weird Japanese games, sure.
See, it's one of those things where I don't know how often we run into these games, but it's kind of fun to see a game that isn't great, but is definitely passable, and for some people it's certainly worth it, and that it's right in the wheelhouse of, you know, worth paying the money for it. Because if this was a $12 game, I don't know that I would be able to give it that same pass at over twice the price point. But for $5, I'm gonna say it's deflated for sure.
Yeah, $5 I'd say deflated as well. So yeah, if you picked it up for $5, fantastic. Pick it up for $6, you're not really losing much there. I think it's still pretty decent. If you had to pick between Mad Maestro and Parappa the Rapper, which one do you pick? Not from a price point perspective, but from an actual gameplay. Now remember, this is 11 levels. I think that one's what, 6? This one, you're helping a couple that's breaking up in a fashion genius and trying to make sure that everything goes well. The other one, you're making a fish cake with a chicken and driving with a moose. And
Dude,
hanging
I
out
gotta
with a frog.
believe.
And you,
I gotta believe.
yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I wouldn't pay as much for Parappa, obviously, and it's less levels, but being able to press all the different buttons, and it's
Parappa has
music.
Parappa has more heart and soul in it, in the fact that it's a game that I want to play more of for the music.
Not for the music. It's just stupid music.
No,
that's catchy.
I want to see more Parappa. I want to play more Parappa. I think it's more fun to play, especially because I feel like the tracks are more engaging for their time. Like, I don't get a lot out of Mad Maestro, whereas Parappa, it's like listening to him say the words as you hit the buttons is kind of fun, even if you're not doing so hot.
Yeah. No, I gotcha for sure, because he's still trying to mumble them out,
Yeah.
and if you do hit it, he
We
actually
had a lot of
says
fun
it.
just playing the game, whereas Mad Maestro was mostly frustration.
Well, mostly frustration, and when we were actually playing and enjoying it, we still got frustrated in the end because the game just, if you have 100 test question, okay, and you get 95% of it right, you get an A, right? Or 95 of them right. In Mad Maestro, apparently, you can get two wrong.
Fail Parappa at the end, but you'd have to do a lot worse, a lot longer.
As long as you hit good, you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, you have like 5 stages
you
of
can
Parappa.
really screw this game up right at the end.
Yeah, like the last 2 notes.
And I
type of
feel
deal.
like they stack it against you that way.
Yeah, like that wasn't fair.
We were
and
on
that's just
easy.
not fun. Yeah, I know, that's what's crazy about it. Either we're bad gamers or that game sucks.
Also, if a game has an easy mode and a normal mode,
Usually
and there's no hard option, that makes normal hard and easy normal.
Yeah, that's about right, actually. Yeah, so either way, $5, pick it up if you want to.
Or don't.
Or don't.
It's up to you, but we're going to say it's a worthy investment to add to your collection. If you're a collector, get collected.
Or John says, screw that and Parappa the Rapper and buy Mr. Mosquito, because that's also a weird Japanese game, and it's so much better.
Yeah.
So, what are we playing next week?
So next week, we are going to a galaxy far, far away, to a time long, long ago, when the N64 ruled the console landscape as it trailed behind PS1 in sales. But we are going to check out Rogue Squadron.
Yep.
For N64, a great game from the past. We'll see how it lives up and tell you if it's worth your money.
I like our interaction, by the way, when you were asking me if I had Rogue Squadron. I'm like, I don't know. Go check in the drawer. Like, maybe I have it. And I had it. Yeah. I think I have all the Star Wars games on N64, actually.
Good.
So, good to know. I actually have a lot of Star Wars games, apparently. All right, man. Well, episode 41. We are 9 away. Well, 8 away now? Or 9 away?
9 away.
9 away, technically.
Yeah.
From episode 50.
Yep.
I'm stoked.
Stoked.
1
year, almost 50 episodes. DOTA TI. Get out there and game, folks.
Instagram at the Game Deflators.
Instagram at the Game Deflators. Twitter, just Game Deflators. Everywhere else, the Game Deflators.
Podbean, iTunes, and anywhere else you can listen to a podcast.
Check us out. If you're listening somewhere and you know of a local game convention that would get us in for free with media passes and would be a cool place to go to, let us know, because we would like to go.
That'd be pretty awesome. And if you're listening to us from Serbia, yes, we had Serbian listeners. Did I tell you about that?
Go Serbian listener.
Yeah, we have people from Serbia.
More than one?
3 downloads apparently from Serbia.
Go Serbian listeners.
I was actually kind of shocked. Our listener in the UK is still listening. That's good. And somebody in Brazil and I think Argentina this week.
Hey, if you're out there, we love you. Keep listening.
I think they're finding us by accident, but who knows? Hopefully they listen. All right. Well, my name is John.
And I'm Ryan.
And let's try and get this right. We are
the Game Deflators.
Oh, yeah.